Hello everyone, welcome. Do I have food in my teeth? Yes. Hello everyone, today's foundation face-off is going to be between the Flower Beauty Light Illusion Foundation and the Wet n Wild Cushion Foundation. If you are wondering why I'm not holding the Cushion Foundation, it is because I have lost it. It has completely just up and disappeared. I don't know where it could possibly be. I've looked in every place that a foundation could be in my apartment and it's gone. So anyway, I was actually able to film the clips of me applying this one to one half of my face and then the Wet n Wild foundation to the other half of my face though. So you're still gonna get to see all that. You're gonna get to see how it wore throughout the day. Also, if you saw on my Instagram story, I have had to film this video 3 times. This is actually the 4th time. I decided I'm not gonna refilm the entire thing because I don't have the time to do that, but I am refilming the intro because I missed a lot of information the first time. So this video is going to be a little bit more jumbled than my videos usually are, so bear with me, but you still are gonna get all the information. It's just gonna be in kind of random clips from various times that I filmed. So I'm going to talk a little bit about this foundation, then I'm going to talk about it a little bit more while I'm applying it to my entire face today. Then you're going to see me applying one to each half of my face, and we will talk about the differences between the foundations. Hopefully we'll be able to edit it into an order that makes sense, but here we go. So the Flower Beauty line of cosmetics is Drew Barrymore's line. It used to only be sold at Walmart, now it's also available at Ulta. It's a couple dollars more at Ulta. It's $14 at Ulta and $12 at Walmart, I believe. Let me check. And $13 at Walmart. But right now it's actually on sale on Ulta for $9.79. It comes in 12 shades and it looks like a somewhat decent shade range. It definitely does not go dark enough, and I also don't think it goes light enough. I have mine, maybe I could face it towards you. I have mine in the shade Ivory L2. So this is the second lightest shade, and I definitely could use a lighter shade, especially right now in the winter. I'm about as pale as I ever get. But I didn't want to get L1 Porcelain because anytime a foundation is called porcelain, it's usually pink undertoned, and that never works out for me. So that's why I went with L2. All right, I'm going to do swatches. Are you proud of me? I remembered this time. So the first one here is the Flower Beauty Light Illusion in the shade L2 Ivory. The second one is the Makeup Forever HD foundation in the shade 120 equals Y245. This is one of my best shade matches. It does look dark because the underside of my arms are very light compared to the rest of my body, but this is a good shade match for me. It's a really, really good undertone. Next over we have the Maybelline Fit Me foundation in the shade 112. Then the Milk Makeup Blur Liquid foundation in, I believe, Ivory. I'll put it on the screen if that's wrong. Next over is the Peach Perfect foundation in the shade Porcelain. It's very similar to the Makeup Forever. And then one of my other closest shade matches is the Fenty Beauty foundation in the shade 130. So as you can see, the Flower Beauty foundation does have a slightly more pink undertone than the ones that match me the closest, but it works just fine. It's very similar in undertone to the Milk Makeup and the Maybelline. And I always like to show my other arm just so you can see how the foundations compare to the skin on most of my body. And you get a standard 1 fluid ounce in the bottle, which, by the way, is beautiful. I love the bottle. It's glass. Yeah, it's glass. It has a really, really nice pump. It's super easy to control. Like if you want just a half a pump of foundation, you can easily do that with this foundation. It has really pretty rose gold details, a white cap. I'm a fan. Now the Wet n Wild Cushion foundation is $8.99 at Ulta and $5.93 at Walmart. It only comes with 0.52 ounces, which is more typical when you buy a cushion foundation. They generally don't come with a full ounce, which is part of the reason I'm not a huge fan of cushion foundations. But I can't deny that this one is really beautiful, which I will get into more when I show myself applying both of them. The Wet n Wild Cushion foundation only comes in 8 shades, and that's not enough at all. It definitely doesn't go dark enough, and it also doesn't go light enough. But we're gonna review it anyway. As far as the packaging of the cushion foundation goes, I personally don't love a cushion foundation. I feel like it's kind of hard to use. I know a lot of people think it's easier to use, but I don't like that, like, you really have to press your sponge in there to feel like you're getting enough product. I tend to end up like getting it on my fingers. I don't like that you barely get any foundation. And then the compact itself, I just find to be a little bit bulky. And with the Wet n Wild cushion foundation specifically, the front of the packaging has like this cartoon girl on it, and it's super bizarre. Like, it makes it seem like child's makeup, which it's a beautiful foundation, so it's a shame that they packaged it that way. But it also has a little mirror inside, which is really nice for such a cheap foundation. All right, I want to talk about the claims of each foundation super quickly before we get into application and wear. So the claims of the Flower Beauty foundation are that it is buildable coverage. It doesn't say if you're going to start out with light and be able to build to medium, or start out with medium and build to full. It doesn't say. It just says it's going to even your skin tone and smooth out imperfections. So it also claims to be smoothing. And then it says it has a soft, luminous finish. The Wet n Wild foundation also claims to be buildable. It basically says you can add just the right amount of coverage or double tap to add even more, whatever that means. So again, we don't know if we're starting with light and going to medium or medium to full. It doesn't say. But generally, cushion foundations are on the lighter end of coverage. It says that it is luminous and lightweight, that it helps boost hydration, and has SPF 15. I forgot to mention the Flower Beauty foundation has SPF 18, and on the bottle it says it has all day wear. The Wet n Wild foundation doesn't talk about the wear of the product. This one says it has all day wear. I apologize if my camera was crooked that entire time. So now we're gonna jump into the clip of me applying this foundation. Get ready for no face makeup. Alright, so we're going to start out talking about this foundation since it's the one I'm applying right now, and then later I will talk about the Wet n Wild foundation. Alright, so I've squeezed out about a pump and a half onto a Bath & Body Works candle lid, and I'm just going to be using, I should probably zoom you in, hang on. Alright, we are zoomed in now actually, so I will keep applying this. You guys have been so curious. Everyone keeps asking me, what do you think about the Flower Beauty foundation? What do you think about it on oily skin? Because I have oily skin and acne, as you can see. The thing is, I have been trying to figure out how I feel about this foundation for a very long time now. I have worn this. This will be my 15th time applying it, and I know that because I'm a crazy person who keeps track of my makeup. So I have an actual spreadsheet, and every single day I like put in what makeup I wore, because I want to look back at the end of the year and just see like what product did I actually wear the most, what did I wear the least in every category. I don't know. You guys, I'm too obsessed with makeup. It's ridiculous. But anyway, because of that, I know that I have worn this 14 times and I still don't really know how I feel about it. So I'm just gonna tell you what I do know. And I will also say that usually, so I'm actually going in with a whole nother pump, and that's more than what I would normally use. And that's partly because I'm applying it with a sponge, but I do not like how this foundation applies with a brush at all. It actually applies best with your hands if you just apply it directly with your fingers, which is what Drew Barrymore does in every video I've seen of her where she's filming with another YouTuber and she puts this foundation on. She always uses her fingers, and I will say I've tried it that way like 3 or 4 times and it always looks best that way. It's so messy. I hate applying foundations with my fingers. I just can't get on board with doing it that way. So the Beauty Blender is the next best thing. But it definitely does always look the most natural and skin-like when I use my fingers. So that's just something to note. This is a dewy foundation. It's a lot of people's favorite drugstore dewy foundation. I have oily skin, so you might be like, why would you be trying a dewy foundation? You know you're not gonna like it. I actually do like a lot of dewy foundations. The Lancome Skin Feels Good foundation is one of, if not my most favorite foundation, so I do like dewy foundations. This one though, it's not bad. It is pretty. It's not cakey looking. That is one thing I will say. It always looks very natural, but the way that it's dewy, there's just something about it, and I've been trying to figure this out for a long time now, but there's just something about it that doesn't look good, at least on my skin. It kind of exaggerates my pores. Like, it doesn't do anything for my pores. It doesn't smooth them at all. It kind of exaggerates them. And one thing that I've been noticing a lot, that hopefully I'll be able to show you in the clips that I insert, is that throughout the day, this foundation really exaggerates like fine lines that I didn't even know that I had, which is not cool. Like, lines will show up around my mouth and I never get lines there. It also does not dry down, so my hair gets stuck in it, as you just saw. And I don't know if you can tell, but like right around my mouth, so obviously I have these lines that a lot of foundation settles into, but it's like making this just look so much more noticeable than it usually does. Also, right in here, do you see how it's just exaggerating these like lines and texture? A lot of foundations don't do that on me. I just want to show how the Flower Beauty foundation, which is on this half, this is the Wet n Wild foundation, just how much it exaggerates pores. I don't know, can you see that? Can you see how this side just looks so much more textured than this side? Hopefully. I thought this angle would be good to show you like how it's making it look like there are all these lines going in this direction, and I just normally, that's not a place on my face that I notice a bunch of these little lines. And then in this clip I have the Wet n Wild foundation on this half of my face, the Flower Beauty on that half, and I just want to show you, do you see how there are these lines above my upper lip and then just all this texture? And then on the Wet n Wild side, there's like no texture happening down here on my chin. There are no lines above my lip, lines above my lip. I know this is kind of sounding really negative, but I'm just telling you my experience with this foundation. On my actual face, it doesn't look terrible. It's just there are these things that make me like not want to use it, and those things include exaggerating my pores, exaggerating my lines, and it's just dewy in a way that doesn't look natural, in my opinion, on my skin. Maybe on dry skin it does look more natural, but on me, especially throughout the day, it doesn't. I just wanted to show you guys, I came into my bathroom and I feel like in this lighting you can see what I'm talking about a little bit better as far as it looking like a fake dewiness. Maybe you can see it better in here, I don't know. So I just wanted to show you my skin in this lighting. I mean, one thing's for sure, I'm not even that zoomed in right now and you can just see all of my pores. Also, I have like a line right here that most foundations kind of blur out, but this one is exaggerating, and I've had this on for maybe 10 minutes, so it gets worse throughout the day. But yeah, can you see what I'm talking about with the glow looking just odd? I don't know how to describe it. I mean, I honestly can't tell you what it is about it that looks odd to me. It just does. I hope this is gonna show up on camera. This is after like 8 hours of wearing the Flower Beauty foundation. That is not just dewy, people. And that's like this part of my cheek. This doesn't even get oily normally. In this particular random clip that you're seeing, I've had the foundation on for about 6.5 hours, maybe closer to 7, and I just want to show you how it is breaking up on my upper lip. So obviously the pore situation still happening, but can you see the blotchiness and how it is breaking apart on my entire upper lip. That's only 6.5 hours in, so I mean, it's not for oily skin, but just noting that it's doing that. One other thing I would like to note is, as you can see, if I tuck my chin in here, see this line? It's like 2 shades too dark for me, and it also oxidizes throughout the day. So I do have to blend it down my neck. All right, so that is the foundation applied. On one coat, it is medium coverage. All my scars still show through. All my acne still shows through. I'm gonna try to build it up on this little area right here and just show you what happens. So I think you can see, like, it was a little bit buildable, but they still show through. And then I'll try to build it up on this area of my scarring. That builds pretty nicely. I can't get this to full coverage, but on a second layer, that covered a lot better than the first layer. Do you see all these pores? I mean, obviously I have pores on my face, but a lot of my foundations hide them or blur them. This one does not. Okay, and then in this clip, you are finally going to see me apply the Flower Beauty foundation to one half of my face and the Wet n Wild foundation to the other half, so that we can just do a straight up side-by-side comparison. Since you already saw me apply the Flower Beauty foundation, we're just zooming right through this part. I don't really have much more to say than what has already been said. I'm not sure if I talked about it, but it does blend really easily. So that's how the Flower Beauty foundation is looking. That's how it looks super close up compared to no makeup on the other side of my face. And now we are going to dip into the Wet n Wild Cushion Foundation. I'm going to use my LA Girl sponge again, and I really feel like I have to press hard in there to get product. And then this foundation is so interesting to apply. As I'm applying it, you can't even see that you're applying product almost. Like, you never ever see a dot of product or like a mark where you put the product, but just all of a sudden your face starts looking like it has coverage. It's the strangest thing, and I can't tell if that's just because it's like so like melting into your skin that you just don't notice where you have built up coverage, or what this magic is. But as you can see, like, I got a pretty decent medium coverage, but it almost looked like I wasn't applying foundation, right? Am I crazy? And then this is just a super close-up of that one. It looks really, really nice, guys. Like, this is a solid foundation. I do wish it didn't have a fragrance. It's very heavily fragranced, which I talk about later in the video, but it looks real good. And then as I pan between the two sides, I feel like you can definitely tell that the Flower Beauty side is dewier than the Wet n Wild side. I would still call the Wet n Wild a dewy foundation. It's not like it's satin, or it's definitely not matte. It's a dewy foundation, but the Flower Beauty one is just even more dewy. You guys, I just figured out an amazing way to test how transfer proof foundations are. So we're gonna start doing this in my videos. And these swatches I have let dry completely all the way down. I have my phone, which has a clean screen, as you can see, and I'm basically just gonna press it on each of the foundations and we'll see how much transfers. So starting with the Flower Beauty, I feel like you can see that there's like a line there of foundation. So obviously that one transferred quite a bit. And then I will clean it off. We have a clean screen again. We're gonna do the next one, which is the Makeup Forever. There's basically nothing. I think I can do the Maybelline Fit Me and the Milk Makeup one both on the same one. And I do know that the Milk Makeup one does transfer if you don't set it. Yeah, big time. So that's the Milk Makeup. That's the Maybelline Fit Me. Nothing, lots. Next we have the Too Faced Sweet Peach and the Fenty. I know the Too Faced is one of the most transfer proof foundations that I've ever tried. I'm not sure about the Fenty, So let's try them. And yeah, this was the Too Faced, absolutely nothing on the screen, and the Fenty had just a little bit. We'll keep doing that. I think that's a really good way to test if they're transfer proof. All right, so overall thoughts about this foundation. The packaging is beautiful. It's a cruelty-free brand at the drugstore. Also great. The shade isn't too orange or anything, but it does oxidize, so that's not amazing. But it's generally a decent shade. The thing that I've come to realize with this foundation and wearing it over and over and over and not figuring out how I feel about it is that that must just mean that I'm meh about it. Like, I don't love it. I'm not like, guys, you need to try this foundation. But I'm also not like, guys, you need to stay away from this foundation. I think it's just not terrible, but I don't want to reach for it. Like, I would be just fine if this was not in my collection. I wouldn't miss it at all because, like I said before, it just exaggerates things on my face that I don't want exaggerated. The finish is so interesting. From far away, like in the viewfinder right now, my skin looks really nice and healthy. But as soon as you get within like 3 feet, it starts to just show all that texture, and the way that it's dewy just starts to look so odd. I have described it on my Instagram stories before as almost looking like latexy, like liquid latex once you get up close, and it's not in like a super terrible way. Like, I wear this foundation and I'm not embarrassed of my face or anything like that. I'm happy to wear this out in public. It's nothing terrible. I'm just noting that up close, that's how I feel like it looks on me. So would I recommend it? No. Based on my experience, I can't recommend this foundation. I just think the Wet n Wild cushion is so much better if you want a dewy foundation from the drugstore, from a cruelty-free brand. That one is just, it lays on the skin so much better. The finish looks so much more natural. It doesn't exaggerate my lines or pores. The only category where this one beats the Wet n Wild foundation is that one is really heavily fragranced and this one is not. But in like every single other category, I prefer the Wet n Wild cushion foundation. So they both are medium coverage, I would say. The Wet n Wild might have a little bit less coverage, but it is buildable and you can get them both built up to the same amount of coverage. I definitely prefer the packaging of this one. It looks nicer. It's easier to use in a pump, in my opinion, than in a cushion. Overall, I don't think you will hate this foundation if you buy it. I don't hate this foundation, I just don't love it either. So that's where we're gonna leave it. I hope this video was helpful. If it was, please hit the like button down there wherever it is. Comment and let me know if it was helpful. If you've tried this foundation, did you love it? Did you hate it? What kind of skin do you have? And make sure you subscribe if you like foundation reviews. I do so many of them. I will link a bunch more in the description box below. And I've got a bunch more coming for you. The next foundation video I'm gonna do is going to be the best oil controlling foundations. I have tried so many. I have the oiliest skin, so I have very good recommendations. If you've been in the market for good oil controlling foundations, make sure you subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss that video. I'm super excited to film it because I know it's gonna be really helpful for a lot of people. I would have loved having this video a few years ago. Thank you so much for watching this one, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!